I'm just grinding up some very lean beef for my jerky. Now, in this episode, I'm going to grind it. I'm going to put it through a little tube and extrude it out. If you like your jerky just sliced up, the seasonings, everything else is exactly the same. Now, I've used an inside or an outside round, doesn't really matter, but I kept it as lean as I can. I've used regular hamburger before and the greasiness just doesn't work. So in this particular recipe, I'm using 1 kg. If you have to do the conversion, that's about 2.2 pounds. So now that we have our beef, on to the next step. Time to make the seasoning up for our beef jerky. So this is 1 kg of beef. So my recipe calls for 3 grams of curing salt. Now 3 grams is not very much at all. So I've got a real fine scale here. And you gotta be careful with this stuff. You can't mess with cure. So follow the instructions of the cure that you have. And make sure that you get it right on. A little too much. There we go. Into that, 1 teaspoon of freshly cracked pepper, half teaspoon of onion powder. Just use the palm method, works great. Once you get used to it, you won't go back. Half teaspoon of garlic. A little bit much. Just get rid of a little bit of that. Half teaspoon of garlic. 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. For the kosher salt. And that's all there is to it. So we're going to mix this up. Now if you wanted to spice it up a little bit, you could put a little bit of chipotle in there. Make your beef jerky a little spicier. So we got our meat. Now, if you watched me do sausage before, I added a little bit of water to this. We're not going to do that with the jerky. We don't want it that soupy. But in my jerky, I'm just going to give a couple tablespoons, a little hardened piece there. Corn syrup. Maybe 3 tablespoons. I got some teriyaki. Now this is just going to help lube everything up. Same thing, about 3 tablespoons. And what we're going to do is just put a little bit of our seasoning on the top. Mix her up. We're doing a good job of mixing here. A little bit more seasoning. Mix her up. And we'll put the last little bit of seasoning in. Mix it up. Alright, we got her all mixed up good. Time to extrude this onto our trays. This is my extruder. Something I bought online, quite happy with it. But I'm not happy with the size of the little tube that comes out of it. There's a little squashed one. You can make some jerky with that one, but it makes a real thin jerky. I like mine a little thicker. So all I do is just take one of my sausage stuffing tubes, put it over top, and then we'll just taper down. Works great. Just use whatever tape you got. I got some duct tape here. Alright, you'll see what I mean here in a bit. So I want to load this tube up now. So basically, just load her up. Now try and not get that much air in there, so little bits at a time. It's a messy job. I'll probably fast forward through all this. Once you get to the point where you're starting to stuff, then I use my little pusher that I have for my grinder. Works great. Hey, we got it good and full. Now we just work this in. Just like a big caulking gun. Now, what I've done here, I've got parchment paper on my jerky racks. I put a mark, I don't know where half it is, so I put a mark. And I just come down to the point where you're just on the inside of half. And then basically, first one's always a little tougher. Extrude out a log. I think we go about 6 on one of these. Now I've used my sausage stuffer to do this, but it's just a little tougher. So if you're serious about this, get yourself one of these little guns. It does make life a little easier. Okay, get 6 to a side. Now we've got these little logs here. Now we want to pat them down. So just wet your hand. And basically, till they're about 3/16 of an inch or so thick. Okay, just got the last ones all finished up. Gotta get the rest of this out of here. Now here's another option for you. I just use the spoon to get the rest of this meat out of here. Now if you don't have one of these stuffers or whatever you want to call it, you can just take a random chunk. I'm gonna wet my hands here. Take a random chunk, and there. Then you make it look like a piece of that you just cut off a roast or something like that. You can do that. That works fine. We got her done. Cellophane between each layer. This is going in the refrigerator for 24 hours. Then tomorrow we're going to hit the smoker. Time to smoke our jerky. So we're going to give her a half a scoop of this This is mesquite and hickory. Okay, we'll add put our jerky in. Don't worry about the parchment paper. We're going to deal with that in a bit. 185. No more than that. You don't want to cook it. You just want to dry it. Alright, our jerky has firmed up a bit. Now it's time to flip her onto another rack, and I'll show you how I do that. So we're good and firm here now. So what we want to do is we want to flip this onto another rack. Basically all you do is just, you gotta have another rack though. Give her a flip. We'll just stick this right here. Take the parchment paper off. Back into the smoker. That simple. So our jerky, you want to be able to push it with your finger and have some firmness. If it's not firm, it's not ready to go. So if there's any spring back, you want to make sure you let it sit a little longer. Okay, we got a couple more hours to go. Alright, time to check the jerky. All you do is just give it a little press. If there's nothing springing back, she's good. Now don't go too far, because if you go too far then you dry it out. Feels good. So we're just going to pull off the ones that are ready and keep doing that till we're all done. Hey, I've got all the jerky off. Now I like to cut it in half, make it into some nice bite-sized pieces. And there you have it. Absolutely wonderful jerky.